What's going on, everyone? This is Vince with VShred.com, and when it comes to isolating the quads, few exercises do it better than the leg extension. But what if you work out from home? Or you're traveling and only have access to a crappy hotel gym? Or maybe your gym doesn't have a leg extension machine. Well, that's the problem that we're going to tackle today, and I'm going to give you 4 exercises that you can do instead or just add to your leg day.
I'ma keep on going up till the lights go down.
Okay, so the reason you see the leg extension on so many workout plans is because it's performed on a very common piece of equipment that simply most gyms have. Plus, it's great for both beginners and advanced lifters, and when done correctly, it will kill your quads. But it's hard to replace the leg extension if you don't have a leg extension machine. Now, before we get into some of the things that you can do instead, I've been getting a lot of questions lately about dropping body fat and putting on muscle. And my answer is always the same to anybody out there asking. You don't need to starve yourself or live on the treadmill to cut fat, and you don't need to lift for 2 hours a day to build muscle. What you need to do is figure out your macros and then train specifically for your goals. And if you have no idea where to start for either of those, I do have a free quiz that's also a macro calculator that tells you the exact number of proteins and carbs and fats to aim for every day, as well as the type of workouts that you should be doing depending on what your priority is. And it only takes like 20 seconds to fill out. If you want to give it a shot, all you got to do is click the link down in the description below. Getting into today's video, it's not the quads are hard to train. We use them in tons of lifts and everyday life, but the leg extension is a unique movement pattern, making it very hard to replicate. And in doing movements and most quad dominant exercises, you don't extend the knee by itself because other muscles are recruited. And well, not with the leg extension. The motion does not support surrounding leg muscles. It's pure quad isolation and results in a crazy pump. Now, some people debate that the leg extension machine is bad for your joints and your knees because it can put stress on the knee joint, and that's because the placement of the load relative to your knee creates a lot of torque. It applies constant tension on the ACL. So if you already have sore knees or you've been directed by a physical therapist to avoid leg extensions, you might just want to skip it altogether. But if you do choose to use it, make sure you have proper form and you don't go crazy on the weight. You never want to use momentum to kick up the lever. You want to do a controlled extension of your legs and avoid locking out completely because it can strain your knee joint. Or you could give one of the variations that I'm about to show you a try instead. All right, so getting into the first exercise, we are going to be down on the ground and we're going to be doing a kneeling extension. And so first thing I recommend is getting some sort of pad or yoga mat bunched up for your knees so that they don't get all uncomfortable and bruised up. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to be mimicking the lower half of a leg extension. And so you're never really going to get the squeeze at the top or that peak contraction with this exercise, but that bottom half, the stretch of the muscle, we're going to get a really good one, and we're going for max time under tension here. This is also another one that, like on a leg extension machine, you're able to load it up with 150 pounds, 200 pounds, and really push yourself if your knees can handle that. With this, we're really going to be focusing on slow and controlled tempo. So what we're going to do is, like I said, have your knees on some kind of padded mat or yoga mat. And then personally, I don't like having my feet flat like that because it puts my ankles into an uncomfortable position. So I just have my feet kind of bent like that. But what you're going to do, first things first, is you're kind of going to drive your glutes forward a little bit. The main reason is you just want your entire body straight as you go down. You don't want your butt back and then you're kind of doing this lowering of your body with a little bit of your hips hinged. You want to focus on keeping those glutes driven forward, and you're not trying to necessarily engage your glutes. You're just trying to keep your body straight and put all the emphasis on your quads. So you're going to hold yourself right here, body straight. You're going to lower yourself down slowly, and what I want you to aim for is a 5-second lowering. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice my body is still straight even at the bottom. And then you're going to use your quads to bring yourself back up to perpendicular to the ground. So lowering down again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and bring yourself back up. So focusing on controlled tempo. And if you want to make it a little bit harder, you can grab a dumbbell. Would not recommend adding a ton of weight to this. I just have a 20-pounder right here. You're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna hold it about right at your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and bring yourself back up. And so, like I said, you're not getting that full extension where you're gonna be squeezing and locking out or squeezing out your quad muscle, but that lower half of the exercise where you're really focusing on getting the stretch of your quads, you're gonna be getting a lot of that. And if you go slow enough, you're gonna be getting a lot of time under tension, and you can add some extra weight to the exercise if you so please. So that's the first one. Now let's move into the second exercise. All right, so next up, we are going to be doing an exercise that I call elevated knee drives, where basically we're going to need some kind of bench or just something that's elevated, maybe a box, just something that you can basically get into a push-up position with your feet on. So your feet are the part that's of you that's elevated. So I'm gonna get right into position for this. Getting into push-up position, shoulders are above my hands. I'm up on my toes here. And then from here, what I'm going to do is really focus and keeping my back straight. I'm not letting my hips sag. I'm not up in the air like this. Back straight. I'm going to take my knees. I'm going to bend them. I'm going to let them go down as far as I possibly can. And then I'm going to take them and I'm going to drive through using my quads. So really focusing on that quad mind muscle connection, bringing it down as low as you can, driving up. Bringing it down as low as you can, driving up. And again, if you want to, you can do the same thing that I talked about in the last exercise, where you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going as low as you can, and driving and squeezing out at the top. So I'm really squeezing my quads right now, getting that peak contraction with them. So this one is kind of the opposite of the other one, where the other one you kind of couldn't get that squeeze out at the top, but you could get a really good stretch. This one, you can't necessarily get as great of a stretch, but you can really squeeze out at the top. And so you could even do like a little bit of both of them if you're wanting to substitute out the leg extension machine, going down, driving it as low as you can, and squeezing out at the top. And if you're working out with somebody, you could even have them put like a 25-pound plate on your back or something like that. If you don't have someone to work out with, it's totally fine. Just whenever you are doing something where you can't load up as much weight as you want to, always, always, always slow down your reps, focus on tempo, focus on tension of the muscle for as long as you possibly can. Focus on trying to avoid any kind of rest. Like what you could do for this exercise is you could go down and then come back up, and you could kind of just rest here without squeezing out your quads. There's a difference between squeezing and just kind of resting right there. And so if you really focus on having tension throughout the entire exercise, that's going to make less weight seem a lot harder. And so that's going to be the second exercise. Now let's get into the third one. All right, so exercise number 3 and number 4 are actually going to be pretty similar, but exercise number 3 is going to be a single leg resistance band extension. So what we're going to do, and you see me on a pec deck machine right now, that's simply because this seat can go high enough to where I can sit with one leg straight and my foot is hanging off the ground. So you want to find something that elevates you enough to where your foot is not touching the ground. Like on a regular bench, I sit on the edge and both my feet are easily touching the ground, and therefore if I was doing a band extension, I'd be also lifting my leg and trying to extend, and it would just be a weird movement. And so what you want to do is have that leg elevated up off the ground like so. And then I also have a band connected down to the bottom of this machine. And so this is going to be the other part that you have to figure out is, one, how long are your bands that you're using? Personally, this band is like one of the longer ones, and so I double looped it, and then I basically created a little pulley here that basically stays there, but is also double, so it's shorter. Whereas if I kept it longer, it would be connected back there somewhere, and you want to find that middle ground where you have a lot of tension at the top, but then you also have a little bit of tension at the bottom, so you're not losing the tension at the bottom, but it's also not so difficult at the bottom that it's impossible at the top. So you're really focusing on a good squeeze here at the top. But like I said, it's looped down there. I'm gonna put my foot through this, put it just at like my ankle, and then I'm going to shift my weight to where, again, my knee is up and my foot is off of the ground. And then from here, I'm going to start by putting a little tension on the muscle, so I could relax it right here, or I could start by putting some tension on it. So that's where I'm starting. It's my starting position. It's the bottom of the exercise for me. I'm gonna go from here, bring it all the way up, squeeze at the top until your leg is completely straight, squeezing, returning back down slowly to that starting position, which is right here with still tension on the muscle, not all the way down here to where my muscle is now resting. That's the stopping. And then go up, squeezing at the top, down, controlled, slow, and back into the next one. And so again, you're going for tempo. So personally, if you were going like if I was going 1, 2, 3, squeezing for a second, 1, 2, 3, and repeating that, and then switching feet, doing it on the other side. Same thing, knee up, foot off the ground, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3. So with bands, you really want to force yourself to get the maximum amount of time under tension, because you're really not able to load up as much weight as you want like you can with a dumbbell. Also, bands pull from a very peculiar angle, so you want to make sure that you have tension throughout and you're keeping that tension on the muscle the entire time. So really focusing on that mind-muscle connection, keeping that tempo nice and slow, keeping tension even at the bottom of the exercise, squeezing out as much as you can at the top, and that's gonna be the third one. Now for the fourth one, I'm actually gonna take this band off, I'm gonna pull out a dumbbell, and I'm gonna do this same exercise, but I'm gonna be doing a dumbbell leg extension. And so the reason that I'm doing it right here again is because if I was on a regular bench that was at a regular height, I would be basically sitting with my feet on the ground, and I would have to lift up my knees like so and then extend, and it would become more of a hip flexor exercise than anything. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit back on this bench. I'm going to lock myself into place, and you can do that by grabbing something around you, but you just really want to hold yourself right here. And then as I lift this weight off the ground, notice my feet are not touching. That's what you want to aim for. And then from here, you're going to take this weight, you're going to extend it all the way out, squeezing your quads at the top, returning it back down, but not going until you're resting, which is right here. Not using my quads right now, but if I start here-ish, now my quads are being activated a little bit, extending, squeezing at the top, returning back down slowly, and again, focusing on that time under tension with your quad muscles. And those are both going to be great variations of leg extension without actually needing the machine. Of course, the machine is probably easier, but this is more so for those people who don't have access to it, maybe temporarily, or maybe you're just looking for new things to do. Yes, the setup can be a little difficult, but if you get the setup right, all you gotta do is get it right once, and then you have it right forever and you know exactly how to do it. I recommend giving it out a try, and if you like it, keep doing it. If you don't, try to find a gym with a leg extension. It's the most I can really tell you to do. But that's it for the exercises, guys. All right, so those are the exercises. But there are some other great exercises that you can do with dumbbells or body weight that may not mimic a leg extension, but are still really great additions that can kill your quads if you do them correctly. Things like sissy squats, or heel elevated dumbbell squats, or box step ups, reverse lunges, wall sits. There's tons of options if you're just going for a quad focused exercise rather than a quad isolated exercise. But that's it. 4 substitutions if you don't have a leg extension machine, or if you just want to mix things up that will specifically set your quads on fire. And if there's another exercise that you want to do but you don't have the equipment for, or you're having a problem with coming up with a substitution, drop a comment down below and let me know. Hopefully I can make a video about it. And if you like this video, do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button down there, and make sure, if you're not yet, you're subscribing to the channel. I'm pumping out tons of content that you don't want to miss out on. But that's all for today, guys. I hope this helped. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.